Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone. We are from Group 2. Today, we would like to present our material about initial salutation, introduction, and final salutation. Before we start our material, I would like to introduce my group. My name is Amini, and then Ellief, Shafira, Harfiani, and the last is Syntia Khairunnisa. Before we start our presentation, I would like to tell you about our outline. The first is salutation. The second is initial salutation. The third is introduction. The fourth is final salutation. The fifth is example. And the last is conclusion.
Salutation is a greeting used in letter or communication non-written. Salutation must be formal or informal, depend on the situation. In English letter we are using formal salutation. The next is initial salutation. Initial salutation is greeting we use to open the letter. In English letter the first is there and followed by the name of the recipient. But you must remember, you cannot only use the first name of the recipient, but you must using full name or the last name. For example, it's dear Mr. Lee David. Is to a man who you know the full of the recipient. And the second is dear sirs is to company, and the third is dear sir is to a man, and the fourth is dear sir or madam is to recipient, but you don't know the recipient is she or he. And the next is dear Mrs. Lona Taylor is to recipient, but she is married, and you know the full of the name. And the next is dear Miss Style is to a woman, but you don't know she is married or not. And the next is dear Miss Smith is to a woman, but you know she is not married. And the next is dear Madam is to a woman, and the last is dear Lucy. This is to a recipient, but you know she is well.
The next is introduction. Introduction is an occasion when something is put into use or brought to a place for the first time, and the action of telling someone another person's name the first time that they meet. In business letter, the introduction is usually in the first paragraph of the letter. Introduction usually contains information about yourself or purpose of the letter. Here are the paragraphs in the letter and their purpose. The first is first paragraph. The first paragraph of formal letter should include an introduction to the purpose of the letter. It's common to first thank someone or to introduce yourself. The second is body paragraph. The second and following paragraphs should provide the main information of the letter and build on the main purpose in the introductory first paragraph. And the last is final paragraph. The final paragraph should shortly summarize the intent of the formal letter and end with some call to action.
The final salutation. Final salutation is a greeting to close a letter. The way you close a letter depends on how you open a letter. If the salutation is Dear Mr., Mrs., Miss, or Miss, the final salutation is Yours sincerely. If the salutation is Dear Sirs, Sir, or Madam, the final salutation is Yours faithfully. And last, if the salutation using name, like Dear Lucy, the final salutation using best wishes or best regards. Okay, this is the example of salutation, introduction, and final salutation.
And the last is the conclusion of our presentation today. The conclusion is if you want to write the English letter, you must be carefully to choose the initial salutation, introduction, and the final salutation. If you choose initial salutation with Dear Mr. Lee David or Mrs. Taylor, you must choose the final salutation with yours sincerely. And if you choose the initial salutation with Dear Luna, you must choose or using the final salutation with best wishes.
We think that's all. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.